some point.
Woo.
No, now we're live.
This is more stress than I thought it would be.
He's already having second thoughts.
Yeah. I don't know why. It's just we
didn't even update the show notes for this. Hello, welcome.
Yeah, I had to tell him to mess with them.
This is the other podcast, and we're back with another great episode. You know what? I'm going to follow the notes again. All right. So we're just talking about the notes. Did you update them at all?
I did update them.
Okay, I thought so, and
Okay.
I wasn't sure because Dominic had mentioned the host still had Corey Coffin on there and stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which is no big deal. I didn't update him, and you did. So thanks for doing the work. I'm André. This is the other podcast. The show is a conversation with some friends. Pat and I are usually doing it together. I have other people on here when Pat's not available. Sometimes we'll have guests. We had one last week, and this is our first live guest since then, at least.
Yeah,
and
super
this is
cool.
What's your name?
Dominic. I'm Dominic. I'm his son. So that's pretty cool.
By all accounts, he is my son.
Yeah.
Once again, it was Prince or Dominic.
Right.
We decided to go with Dominic.
Dominic, yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely.
That's good. I'm glad that you made the choice to have your son on versus Prince.
Well, also no mediums came through.
Oh.
We put out that you're still open to any mediums who can get in touch with Prince. We're looking for him.
Yeah.
This is
I'm Pat. I am the co-host of the other podcast.
the other host of the other podcast.
The other host. I am the other Pat. Yep.
The other Pat, the other host,
Yep.
the other. And yeah, so welcome. This is fun. Well, since you're here, why don't you introduce yourself, son?
Oh, me? Hello. No. My name's Dominic. Like I said, I'm a sophomore in high school, and I have a fear of public speaking, and I agreed to be here.
And so I want to preface this too and say this wasn't like a forced.
I volunteered to be here.
It was a very last minute.
Yeah.
So
he is here against his will.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
He's being held in this little tiny room where we record our podcast.
Yeah, and then when he doesn't want me here, he keeps me in the basement.
True story.
Yeah. But don't worry, we currently have 0 live viewers, so it's not really public speaking.
Yeah.
It's like you're recording yourself, and perhaps some people may tune into us at a later time.
This fun fact: this used to be my room,
Mhm.
and actually used to be a lot of people's rooms.
Yes.
And that was not me. That was my sister.
Yes, they did put this up here back in the day, and I painted actually all the other walls except for that one. I kind of actually got lazy, to be fair.
No, you said you wanted to preserve it. You said you wanted to preserve this message and the history to this household.
That's what I said. I got lazy.
No. We gotta uphold your image. You know?
But you bring up a good point when you were saying that the nervousness and the public speaking.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that. Actually, I wanted to talk to you about that, Pat. Like how you feel about recording as compared to like the first time you did it, and now if there's any change in comfort, or maybe you were all set with it before.
I definitely am more comfortable now than I was when we first did it. But I felt surprisingly pretty good about it the first time. It felt fairly natural. Like I mean, mostly what we're doing is the very first time we had sort of that was the Monster Squad episode. And so there was like it was probably our most focused of podcasts. So that was probably why that one felt, somewhat easier than some of our other ones. But like, I was pretty comfortable. I think, I've tried to treat it as just a conversation with you and I.
Mhm.
And so that's worked pretty well. And again, I think if we were speaking to a live audience and we had to see if listeners out there listening to us, it may feel a little bit different, but I've been actually fairly comfortable the whole time. How about you?
I think it's now that you had mentioned that first one, not the Monster Squad one,
The one
but
after
the one
that?
after that. I remember now when we started, I thought we were recording.
Yeah.
Or you thought we were recording.
Yeah.
And then we started recording, and I was thinking to myself, wow, he thought we were recording. He was just very smooth about this. And then once it started going, I was nervous.
Yeah.
I still, right now, I listen to all of the episodes right after, just to hear what it is. And it gives me a bit of validation that it didn't sound awful.
It sounds better than it does in our head sometimes.
Exactly. Like
Yeah.
I feel like there are times when in my head I'm pausing for a long time or whatever. But that's how people talk. Like that, it's natural, it's flowy.
I also, so my job is teaching. So I'm up on stage talking to people all the time. And even when I took my little break as an administrator, I was leading meetings, I was, leading trainings and things like that. So I've sort of had to get really used to talking to an audience. And in fact, I feel more comfortable having a conversation with an audience than I would if we had like one person here and I was just having a conversation. Like I have a harder time talking to our guest than I do about the fact that I have potential listeners out there listening to my conversation,
right.
which is kind of strange. I'm a naturally introverted person, very much so, but I think I've just had to kind of come to terms with public speaking. I can pull it off, but those interpersonal conversations can be much more difficult for me.
Yeah. I mean, you say you don't like public speaking in general.
I am much more comfortable with a one-on-one rather than a big audience. And if it helps with your whole not liking one-on-one thing, your voice is really soothing. It's it's nice, like a.
My wife always said that she fell in love with me because I talked to her on the phone one day and she really likes my voice. So,
really?
Yeah, there you go.
Now you got voice confidence.
Now Dominic's falling in love with me as well.
No.
I've never been complimented on my voice. So, hey, that's cool. What's that like?
My kids really liked your rap, and aside from the chorus was a little rough, they thought, but they liked the rest of it.
I'm glad to take notes on that though. Like that Homer and Eddie. Are you talking about Homer and Eddie?
Oh yeah, my daughter. I told you I texted you. She was walking around for like days singing the.
See, Dominic, your dad has some potential.
I've just been making fun. The whole family has been making fun of him for doing this.
Yeah. Hey, I'm spreading my wings.
I'm the only one supporting him on this venture.
I loved your comment. So I learned how to do voice effects. I looked it up. I was because I got an idea for a song and. I was like, well, how do I do like a voice effect on it? And I figured out how to do it. And I ran downstairs and told Dominic last time, Dominic, you got to come up here and listen to this.
Yeah.
And so I gave him.
You need to get some auto-tune.
I was in the middle of getting ice cream cake too. So I had to sit you down for a minute and be like, hold on, let me manage this first.
I think I'd rather get the ice cream. That's more important.
Yeah, you also just can't leave it down there.
Yeah, there is a timeline on ice cream cake. I will give him that.
Yeah.
But my favorite part of it is I'm all excited and he takes off the headphones and starts walking on. Dad learned how to auto-tune.
Yeah.
It's like, I learned how to auto-tune. I'm a dangerous weapon now.
Well, and don't get me wrong. So my daughter they like the song. My daughter was singing it. They also think it's incredibly strange. Probably not as strange as like your own kids feel about you making these songs, but like they're just really amazed. Like I think in their head you're this like mythical, person that makes laundry detergent, writes books, does podcasts, records albums. Like they're like, wow, he does all these things. Like they're just absolutely amazed by it and sort of confused by it. But
the shirt's appropriate then.
He's
the myth, the legend.
Exactly.
He's a jack of all trades and a master of none.
That's right. Well, this is absolutely true. I probably is the best summation of me.
Yeah.
If that were in the dictionary. But
so you're a sophomore in high school.
Yeah.
What else? So when you're not at high school, at school, what are some of your interests? What are some things you?
Well, I'm pretty good with kids. So there's a house down the street with several children who are all above the age of 9 now, which has been really cool to see them kind of grow up too.
Awesome.
But yeah, and they recently got a new dog who apparently hates me. I don't know what I did. Yeah, I just walked outside and the dog just started screaming at me like angry barking and came at me immediately.
Does it like other people? Is it just you?
I think it's just me, and I think Otis did something. The other dog, he told some bad tales about me because both their dogs do not like me at all.
So good with kids, bad with dogs.
Yeah.
All right.
So that was why I was surprised because I knew Otis didn't like you.
Yeah,
so
and I didn't do anything to Otis either. I was trying to stay out of when we were younger. There was a kid Tyler who came over, and he was probably a really bad influence on the other people who were teaching the dog how to be violent, which I stayed out of. And the dog hates me apparently for some reason, because I didn't want to be part of its violent training.
All right.
Training a terrier to be a pit bull.
Yeah. Tiny dog turned into a madman.
Well, some of those tiny dogs have that tiny dog attitude as well.
Yeah.
So
I am not a big fan of
animals.
No, I'm not a big fan of annoying dogs. Like I don't mind animals, and my opinion of dogs specifically is
you've been very vocal to me at least about how you are very strict when it comes to dogs.
Yeah, I think there's a line that I draw. Right? Like I think there's a lot of people who put dogs on a pedestal that I will not put the dog on. Like I get it. Like there are some people who have a tight relationship with their dogs and stuff, but I don't play into it a lot. So like, for example, when dogs come over, your dog's cool. Like I don't mind your dog, but like there are some dogs, like stranger dogs, like people who I don't know and stuff, and the dog will come over and just be looking for attention. I'm in the middle of a conversation, but I'll do the same thing with little kids. Like if a little kid comes over to me and it's like
push it off to the side.
I don't push it off to the side, but I'm not stopping everything I'm doing to like pay attention to a little kid. If it's not my kid, like if it's my kid, I'll pay attention.
Just say, Dominic, how do you feel about that? Welcome to my childhood.
It makes a lot of sense now. I'm finally piecing everything together.
Yeah,
you gotta teach your kids boundaries. But I remember recently, maybe it was this summer or something. I was over visiting somebody. And their neighbor's dog was over there, and the neighbor's dog had come over and was looking at me and trying to rub up on me and stuff. And I was just having the conversation, and somebody was like, "Just pet the dog." And it's like, I don't want to pet the dog. Like, there's no reason for me to pet the dog just because the dog's here. Yeah. Like, it's if anything, if I start petting the dog, it's not going to go away. And so if I just ignore it for a little bit more, it'll stop.
So it sounds like you don't like dogs.
I don't dislike dogs.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't like dogs.
But you also don't like dogs.
Okay, that's fair. I guess
you are indifferent to
I'm
dogs.
indifferent to dogs, yeah. I'm indifferent to a lot of animals.
Yeah. That's how you are with just strangers, though.
Yeah.
You treat dogs as people. Just they're lower than you.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? Dogs, I'll say that. I'm not going to say, because you said I treat dogs like people, and I don't treat people as lower.
No. What I'm saying, yeah. You treat dogs as people, but people that you're better than.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair. To be clear, I don't know I'm better than anybody.
There are a couple people I'm pretty sure I'm better than.
Yeah.
There are some really terrible people out
yes,
there.
Yeah. So I guess strangers. Like I don't want to say it that way.
I always go to the extreme anyway.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, that's good dog talk.
Yeah. So anyway, so this is generally how the podcast goes. We go off on little tangents about things. So what's new with you guys? Anything going on?
School started very recently for me. This week was the first real week back into school.
I feel that. And same with me.
Yeah, they had put in a new-ish schedule that wasn't the same from last year because COVID restrictions and stuff. So it is definitely very weird to get back into that whole thing of the new schedule, but I like it. I like a lot of my classes. I have earth science and biology this year, which I'm really excited for.
Very cool.
How about you?
How's it different this year?
Well, now they have blue days and white days, for so like you have a different schedule on depending on if it's a blue or a white day.
Like time wise or just class wise?
Class wise.
Okay.
Like I have I think it's like a study hall, world studies, English, earth science on blue days, and white days it's like Latin stuff. I don't remember my white day schedule.
So my daughter is in 8th grade, and so this is kind of a similar thing in that they're going back to their, it's no longer COVID protocol, so they can have kind of what's more of a normal schedule. But she was showing me their schedule. So they have blue and gold days, but those are just for their like special class, like gym or Spanish or whatever. And they have ELA, social studies, science, and math every day, but each day they rotate the order of them. So like you might have reading first on Monday, followed by social studies, science, and math. Then on Tuesday, you have social studies first, then science, math, and ELA at the end. Then it rotates again the next day, and it just continues. So it's not like the Monday is the same schedule as the Monday before. It's there's four of those core classes, and they rotate each day which one's the top one. So then back on Friday, they're back to having ELA first, and then it just keeps rotating. So if they keep track of what rotation is it? So what class do I have first? And is it a blue or a gold day? Because that depends. So she was all confused and kind of, I think my guess is the reasoning behind that is some people say like, your class that you have first in the morning, the kids might be more awake or they might be more tired because at that age they have trouble waking up in the morning. So they're trying to rotate. Or if you have kids that are chronically tardy, they won't be missing the same class every day. I'm guessing that's why they do it that way, but it's
because
definitely
it's the
interesting.
same length of period.
Yeah, everything's the same length. It just rotates when they show up in the day. So it's kind of, but that was the big thing, was trying to get that figured out this week for her.
How do you think you would deal with like?
Well, I'm pretty flexible and I can follow a schedule after like a week or something of doing it.
Yeah.
If it's a really confusing schedule like that, it's just like, especially if you have a place to check what kind of day it is or like what rotation is where. Like for me, I can just go on like a app on my phone that'll tell me like what my schedule is and what day it is.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So I suppose if you have something that's you can look at every day and say, well, whatever, I need to be here at this time, then it doesn't really matter if there's consistency with it.
And Maddie will be totally fine with it too. I think for her thing, it was just the first day of trying to figure it out. And today she came home and said, oh, it was great. And some kids that have a little bit more trouble with the executive functioning piece may have a little more trouble with it. But the technology would certainly help. And we had blue and white days or whatever when we were back in high school. This one was just sort of that double, two things rotating at the same time kind of thing was sort of interesting. But
I think that might also be hard on teachers too, of having to like manage a different class in a different order.
I would not like that as a teacher.
From your experience, now I can refer to you while I'm having like how do teachers feel about that.
At least the times are consistent. So and if you're teaching social studies or something, although you may at the high school level you have different classes of it. Like this is our U.S. history. This is I don't know, what did we do? Architecture. Remember were you in that class?
It was the world.
Like we could study the Vietnam War or we can do architecture.
U.S. history architecture.
I remember driving all around everywhere doing that scavenger hunt.
Colonial houses and whatever other. Colonial is the only one I know. Box for houses. I don't know. It was a stupid class.
What's up with you, Andre?
I've been driving around looking at different architectures.
Reliving the old days.
Putting all that high school history to.
Now I've been with the boys going back to school, kind of looking at that and checking on homework and stuff, which was already a great start with not with Dominic but with Riley.
That was sarcastic.
The mini battle has already started of like, all right, I've got this math homework to do, and all right, did you do it? Sure. Here's the worksheet. Okay, well it says here you need to simplify the fractions. Okay, then flip it over to the other side. You didn't simplify these fractions. Well, it doesn't say to simplify the fractions on this page. Well, you probably need to simplify the fractions.
I also had the same teacher that he has now last year, so I know what you need to do. And he was still fighting with me too.
Yeah. So I can see how this path is going to go. It's not like a major thing. It's just one of those like, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
But so that's interesting. And then the boys are at the age now where they can both work and get jobs, and both of them have expressed interest in doing it. Which
well, mine was just because there was a large sign-on, but
well, the money is always a factor.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is great. I mean, there's certainly opportunity right now for younger kids. Like my neighbor who's 14 has a job. My nephew who's older than that, he's 16 now, but he was able to get, he got a job. Then it's great seeing them pull in money and,
Well, it's good. It's just a matter with, I've said it to the boys, like, hey, just give school a little bit for the first month or so. Figure out where you're at there. And
then that's going to be the priority.
Yeah, I personally would rather have like just a summer job over the summer and then, go back to school.
Yep. That's what I did when I was younger.
Yeah.
Yep.
I would recommend too, like, I know you talked about KFC or was hiring, and
KFC, Taco Bell.
Every place is hiring.
They reached out to the school to say that they need employees.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
They're reaching out higher. They're the new military. But like, I would recommend looking at like your dollar store or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, don't go to the food stuff. Like, avoid that if you can.
I don't want to do that. The dollar store would actually probably be way easier.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to deal with all the food stuff.
My neighbor's working at a grocery store that will not be named. I don't know if it's okay to mention it in this house, but she got moved to customer service. And I was like, putting a 14-year-old on customer service where people are like returning products and mad. I was like, I don't know how I would do that, but she loves it. She just comes and laughs at all the stories about people that come in. There's some woman that bought like 40 cans of or jars of onions, like pickled onions or something, and was trying to return them. And she's kind of like, who buys 40 cans, like jars of pickled onions?
And then rethinks their decision.
Yeah.
It's a gift.
It's an odd thing.
One of my first jobs, and the reason I talked about Martin's, and I suggest Martin's because it was a great job.
Like, I forgot you worked there.
Oh yeah, it was. I remember Norm Miller got me the job.
Yep.
And he was like, they're hiring for like a floor sweeper. Like I think that was like the name of the job. Yep. And my primary duty was going around the aisles and just sweeping the floors with the big dry mop. And then I'd have to like clean up the shelves as clean as a Martin's shelf might get. And if you're not familiar with Martin's, all it is a store that takes liquidation sales from other places. Or I remember we had a bunch of golf clubs, for example. There was a fire in some warehouse or something. So we got all these golf clubs at a cheap price from whoever buys from Martin's, but they all like smelled like smoke damage. but you could get the golf clubs.
Good deal.
Yeah. And so any Martin store you go to isn't well kept.
Right.
It's fire. They all look the same as like just a bunch of junk on shelves. But I just had to keep it clean and
you could just always entertain yourself walking around looking at what's on the shelf and being like, oh.
I'd be sitting in the break room or like, oh, you're on break. Sure, I guess I'm on break. I don't know. But where that Martin's was, it was in Pine Tree. So it was right across from Sagamore Village. And I think they had a lot of immigrants and stuff that lived there. And when I worked there, there was a large amount of Russian people who lived in that area. And I remember distinctly, there was this like Russian person who had a very thick accent. And for whatever reason, whoever was working there, like somebody who was like working the floor, and another part had decided I was the interpreter of the store. And it was like, hey, Andre, I don't understand what this person's saying. Can you help them out? And I was like, what? But I was able to help them out.
Perfect.
But that's a good job because like you get to interact with people a little bit more than you would behind a counter, just like slinging food or whatever. Yeah. And you get to know your coworkers a little bit more. and get away from them when they're really weird, as opposed to
Fast food, where you're all trapped in this
Yeah.
little kitchen area.
I got stories about KFC.
I'm sure you do.
But yeah, so that's been. And then as far as me myself, just working, looking at different trying to expand my world at work a little bit more, get a little bit more responsibility here and there.
Just filling up your life, huh?
That's right. I just can't live in the void.
Have no free time. You know, you're doing a bunch of hobbies. You got,
yeah.
got that whole thing
I
going.
was gonna say he's got an abundance of free time.
That's
He has
true.
more hobbies than anybody I know.
The free time is just my hobby.
But he
stuff.
does a good job of
Yeah,
filling
but
it.
You're
with
turning
things.
your free time into obligations.
I'm turning my free time into watching Dragon Ball Z.
Oh.
Not Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball.
So that's a new
yeah.
thing.
I have walked up from the basement, which is my bedroom, referring to that earlier when he said that. He doesn't just keep me in the basement. I'll come up, or early in the morning or late at night, and those are the only times you'll see him watching it. And I just think it's cool, and it's coming at some weird moments.
Yeah.
It was just
It's a weird show.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Dragon Ball?
I have not seen
it is. There are definitely some interesting parts. I watched a decent chunk of, not nearly as many episodes as there are, but I watched a good normal chunk as he might. But it is definitely a weird show.
So I never liked anime growing up.
Mhm.
I hated the anime. I don't like the animation style. I still don't really. I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
But Dragon Ball is the first season is all dubbed, or not dubbed, subbed. So it's all subtitles and stuff. So I have to watch it and pay attention. I have to read what's going on. But it's a kids show apparently, and it's on. Well, it's on Hulu. It's like T14, I suppose.
Okay.
Yeah.
So not like kids Y7 or anything like that, but it is very perverted,
Oh, really?
sexually. Yeah, I mean it's just in your face.
It's not even they're trying to be sneaky about
No.
it either. It's like
It's-
very obviously.
But it's weird how they do it, because it's like there are certain characters who are just gross, and I don't think that show would be able to air here in America now without any extreme outrage, rightly so.
Yeah.
But it's really weird, because they have these characters that do these things, and they have these scenes that are like, what is going on type thing. But they'll have other characters that call out these other characters, like, you're gross, you're a pervert, this type of weird dynamic.
Are the characters that are doing those things, is it portrayed in a negative way? Are they the bad guys of the show that are doing it? Or it's just
whoever.
Okay.
A lot of the show is it's just kind of abundance of characters, and some characters that kind of blurred between who's evil and not, in that kind of sense of the word, because a big part of the first part of the show, or from my knowledge of what I've heard, is a lot of it is around tournaments too and stuff.
Mhm.
So it is kind of blurred, like I said, around who's evil or good, and it's just back and forth of just normal, confident people in the everyday life, just to the extreme.
Yeah, and those perverted characters those are really the good characters. They're protagonists of the show, yet
There's
kind of what you just kind of described, they're everyday people. So this really gross character, one of the last episodes I watched, has this really great moment of oh, you're a really good person here. In this moment here, it was a very noble thing to do, as opposed to all of this awful stuff that you do.
Yeah.
Old perverted man
Yeah.
and young perverted child.
Yes. Pink.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there's I don't know. It's entertaining, and it's a good story. But it took me a little bit to
I was referencing someone else.
and it just took me a little bit at first to all right, am I on board with this, or am I not on board with this? And I'm on board with it. I'm going to keep watching. But.
Yeah, it definitely does take some willpower to just get through it. Of just like, this is not okay.
And maybe that's what that show's all about.
Yeah.
The willpower, finding that inner energy to kind of move forward with it. How about you?
Well, I've talked a lot about school starting up. So on a different note, I did not go to school today. We had our heat pumps installed, which is not necessarily something that I think is an exciting topic of conversation. However, it was a little challenging today because I had to stay home from work. We have our dog who got kicked out of doggy daycare, so we can't send him to doggy daycare anymore. So I had to stay with him, and we have this really tiny house, and they were working throughout the entire house, putting in these multiple rooms, putting this in. So I was basically trapped in my daughter's room with my dog.
The heat pumps were getting installed at home.
I
thought you meant at school.
No, at home. So we were trapped in there for like 6 hours, and we got a new spelling or word work program at school, and there's all these cards that you have to rip apart. And so for 6 hours today, I just sat there with my dog in my daughter's little tiny bedroom, ripping those apart. But the good part of that was that I basically I've been doing a lot of audiobooks. So I listened to the entire Lamb book today. So that'll be something next time we have Bubba on, we need to talk about, because that's definitely an interesting book. I really enjoyed it, but it's definitely different than other things that I've read. So that'll be a good conversation. I also started listening to Deltron 3030. Do you know that? Are you familiar with that?
He's a rapper, right?
Well, it's Del the Homo Sapien, or the Funky Homo Sapien, but it's a project he did with, what's that guy's name? Is it Dan the Automator? He did a lot of like production for the Gorillaz and stuff like that. So yeah, it's an album they put out in like around 2000 or something, but it's a blend of sci-fi and rap, where it's basically kind of like a space opera, where it takes place in 3030. That's where the 3030 comes from, and it's the corporations and government have sort of oppressed the people and artistic expression, and so they're fighting back through their rap. And it's this whole thing. I only made it through a couple of songs, but the concept I'm really kind of intrigued by. But it's definitely one of those things where I was listening to some of the tracks, and I'd read something about it. That's how I got interested in it this morning. And I listened to the first few tracks, and I'm like, I am not picking up on this. It kind of reminded me of reading like Dostoevsky or any kind of poetry that's pretty, a lot of references that you don't get, plus it's rap, so it's like you're not reading it, it's fast and that sort of thing. So I was listening to a couple of the tracks, and then I was all right, I'm not getting as much out of this as I feel like I should. So I went back and I started reading some interpretations of it and sort of like explanations of it, and then I went back and listened to it again with the lyrics in front of me, and it's cool. It's definitely interesting. So I need to go through the whole thing. I think it'd be one of those things that would be really awesome, just like late at night with some good headphones and chill out and just listen to it. But it's pretty cool.
So I'm gonna get old man on you real quick. Like, have you ever heard of a concept album?
Yes.
Which concept album?
You've told me, but I don't remember.
So
I remember this conversation. I do not remember the details.
So do you like concept albums in general?
I would say I do, yeah. And I really like music and songs that tell stories, whether it's a concept album or just an individual song that's the story. I really enjoy that. So
the other, right when you were talking about the rap element, have you ever heard Prince of Thieves? No. That's a good one. Jeremy actually told me about that years ago.
Riley's the one that's all up on you about that.
Every time I say Jeremy's name, Riley's like, you say Jeremy. It's not Jeremy, it's Jeremy. I was like, I've been calling him Jeremy all my life.
I've always called him Jeremy too.
Have you asked him if...
no, I haven't. And I assume he'd say something over the course of our...
Okay, I've never actually even thought about that once until you just mentioned it. So I'm sure he's pretty used to people calling him.
I'd never thought of it either. It's just like, what?
It's kind of funny too, because obviously Jeremy could be interpreted as like, oh, you're...
Right.
So yeah, it's like, I've never even made that connection before until now.
But yeah, that's a really good one. Prince of Thieves by Prince Paul, and then I mean, there's other concept albums out there, but that's a really good one. And that one is like you talk about you couldn't get Deltron 3030 or 30 whatever it's called right off. But the Prince of Thieves one is like real simple. I mean, it's like
it's
it's
a little more accessible,
right?
Yeah,
and, like there's like skits and stuff in between.
Yeah,
and going through. And that one's cool because it's got a bunch of they take a bunch of like different guest rappers and stuff on there. Like Everlast is on there, so if you're a big Everlast fan, he's on one of the songs. But
it definitely felt like with the Deltron one, I felt like I was listening to a Gorillaz album. You can definitely hear the production, the beats and stuff sounds a lot like some of the Gorillaz music and things like that. So, and Della Funky Homo Sapien is a guest rapper on some of the Gorillaz stuff. So it's like,
I feel like, the sad part, sad or not, whatever. Like anytime I hear Del the Funky Homo Sapien, I only think of the Gorillaz. And so, is this a Gorillaz song?
Right,
every time.
Yeah. I learned he was Ice Cube's cousin.
Really?
Yeah.
Was or still is?
Well, I imagine still is. Yes.
Was there a breakup in the family?
Well, actually, so I guess there was. So he was Ice Cube's cousin, and then Ice Cube helped him put out his first album, but he felt like he was too constrained in that first album. He didn't really get to kind of do his own thing. So they actually had like, I don't know if it was, I'd say a falling out, but they went their separate ways musically. But yeah.
I learned about PM Dawn. So after we were talking about PM Dawn, before I looked up on YouTube or something, must have been YouTube, and I had no idea. Like, so when you were talking about PM Dawn still exists and is still putting out stuff, so the bigger guy, PM Dawn died.
Oh,
and there was at some point in time before he died, or maybe it was after he died. So PM Dawn was they were brothers. And so the bigger guy was the older brother, and the smaller guy, who was kind of the DJ and stuff, was the younger brother, obviously. And at some point, there was kind of like a, not necessarily a falling out or whatever, but their cousin kind of came into the mix, and he's replaced the bigger guy.
Okay.
And like there's been a rift with some like royalties and like where the money goes and taking over the name and all that stuff. So, and I think I may have commented, or maybe I didn't. I listened to like their newest album, and like the first track on it's far removed from anything I would have expected out of PM Dawn's Set Adrift on Memory Bliss. And I was like, wait a minute. And that's actually when I started looking into it. I was like, this doesn't sound right at all.
He basically just kept the name and totally changed everything else.
But
and it's not like PM Dawn has a lot of name recognition at this point. So like you probably could come up with a new name if your musical style is going to be totally different.
Yeah, but with the popularity of like 90s act tours and stuff going around, I feel like there would be a lot of disappointment if somebody's like, PM Dawn's coming, and you go to that show and you're like, whoa. It's just...
Do you think there'd be a lot of do you imagine there's a lot of people that are like, what? They just added PM Dawn, I love the 90s, woo, I'm gonna go. Maybe there are. I mean,
25 people disappointed.
I mean, in fairness, I probably wasn't like the key demographic for PM Dawn, so
you might have been actually.
Maybe I was.
For early PM Dawn, not the new PM Dawn. The new PM Dawn is a lot of butts and girls, and it's whole different.
Definitely not Set Adrift on Memory Bliss.
No.
I don't think I want to listen to this.
Hey, give it a check.
Dominic has no idea what this whole conversation.
Yeah, no, they're speaking an alien language.
PM Dawn.
I cannot connect, though that last statement does not sound like something I would be interested in.
Well, let's see. We've gone through.
Are you going to play it now?
What else we got on there?
Right.
Corey's back there.
I took out a bunch of Corey's. I thought I got them all.
No.
Apparently I did not.
You just need to control that.
So Corey, what's new with you?
Well, the reviews on Homer and Eddie, the movie, I'm assuming.
Yes.
What?
Okay. You haven't seen Homer and Eddie.
You should have made him watch Homer and Eddie so he could be on the show.
This was 5 minutes. I volunteered because you were talking about a guest, and
you could have just watched 5 minutes of it and probably gotten the gist of Homer and Eddie.
So how do you feel about people with mental instabilities, like post-traumatic stress?
It's
Pro people.
yeah. What do you want?
How do you feel about movies?
Andre often on this podcast will throw out a statement that's a really confused, like
the
how
answer
else would I
isn't
answer
no.
that?
The answer isn't an issue. Like I'll answer honestly, but it's how you word it that is just confusing for me to get an answer from. Like I can't. It's hard to give an answer to. Like what do you mean by that?
Okay. Have you watched many movies about people? We'll
Are you talking about
simplify
the
it.
portrayal of people with, or just in general? How do you feel about people
The
with,
portrayal of, yeah.
in like?
With how do you feel about movies with scam artists?
It depends because a lot of times I watch a lot of action movies
Mhm.
and like I do not remember names of movies, but I think there was one called like The Take that started with a scam artist, and it turned into a whole thing. But like I do enjoy just kind of like seeing how they do it. Like I like those kind of movies.
Mhm.
But also if it turns into like they're a real asshole during the whole thing,
Right. So where people are taking advantage of somebody else.
yeah, like it to an extent, like it's cool to see like kind of how that works, but also like if it's like real world stuff, like a documentary or something, like as long as I know it's fiction and it's not like too horrible,
Okay.
then I enjoy it typically.
How do you feel about movies where, I don't know, have you seen many movies like Forrest Gump?
I haven't seen Forrest Gump.
So do you know what Forrest Gump is about?
Yeah, kind of.
So like the mentally
Disabled, somebody
disabled?
with a disability. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what the proper way to say that
Right.
without like
Offending people.
Yeah, but people with a mental disability. Like, how would you feel about watching somebody take advantage of somebody with a mental disability?
Well, for me, I'm kind of, especially like, I don't know, I feel like it's kind of common now for Gen Z or people my age kind of have like a disconnect from like real world and shows and stuff. Like it's way different. Something happens there versus the real world.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times it doesn't like fit. Like it's fine if it's a good show, I'll still watch it. If like something like that is happening or like a good movie, or like it, typically if something that I don't like happens, I'll like shut it off or be like, no, I'm not gonna continue through this. But like it does kind of feel like, why would you do, like it kind of feels like guilty or bad for that person when you're watching it. Like if someone's like my friend has very slight autism and we'll just we'll just tease him for that, but we're not like making fun of him or like or not like too bad to him. So like we make sure that he's okay with it and stuff, and then we're not like taking advantage of him and like making him do stuff that he doesn't want to do and stuff like that. But I don't know if that answers your question at all. But
no, but that's a good. I mean, it does answer my question, but that kind of brings me on to another thought. Like when you were talking, you had just said like your generation disconnects like what you watch from real life. Like, so are you saying that like you can watch a movie that's offensive, like by all means, but you can enjoy that movie still and not like put that into like, oh, I have to not watch this movie because it's so gross or offensive.
Yeah, for me, a lot of times, if like I said, like if I don't like something, I'll shut it off. That's like to like the extent of like extreme racism or like something that's like super horrible or like really gory. Because in the past, I was not a fan of gore, but now it's something I can sit through and watch fine. As I've matured and gotten kind of used to that through as things, I think things have gotten more gory, like shows and stuff as time has progressed with CGI too.
And how do you feel about, because we had talked about like the David Cross book, for example, like you were talking about Andrew's reaction to just the pictures and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, how do you feel about that kind of stuff in general?
I think it depends on the context of it or what it's about. I think in Homer and Eddie, for example, I didn't really read that. Obviously, so there's the Whoopi Goldberg character is taking advantage of Homer in that she's using him to try to get money and things like that. But I didn't look at that as being, it wasn't making fun of him or exploiting, like the movie itself. I don't feel like was really trying to exploit the fact that, and I'm defending this movie, which by the way I thought was a terrible movie, but I don't think that the movie itself was trying to, like, I don't know. I didn't get the sense it was using his character to make fun of it or to drum up, I don't know how I want to say it, false sympathy or something. Maybe they were, but it didn't affect me in that way. I don't know. I just thought it was a bad movie.
But no, I think if like you're like they're not trying to like I think one way to put it is I'm not sure if this will help much for what you're trying to say, but in school we have a book that will not be named because I do not remember the name. But the whole thing is like going through events that happened, not because like they're trying to say like, hey, this is we want sympathy for it or anything, but just the author said himself like he's doing that to make sure that people know that this kind of stuff happens, rather than like trying to get something out of it besides that.
I heard something someplace where an author was defending something along those lines of like, I'm not writing these things to like glorify anything. Or it was like if I didn't, oh, that's what it was. I was watching a show. There's a show on Netflix, and it's some rap show out of Germany. It's like based, the premise is 80s rap scene and these German people that are coming through. And like at the preamble at the beginning of the show, little blurb says, there are offensive things in this, that the show depicts how people talked then and whatever. And if we didn't put that in the show, then it would be saying that never existed.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of like that same idea, right?
Yeah, like you're not trying to like glorify it or make say like trying to be offensive, but like it's like saying like this stuff did happen and people should know about it rather than denying that.
Right.
So it is very hard to be in the middle because like I'm whipping my head back and forth trying to see who's talking.
It's your neck workout.
Yeah. And my back because I'm sitting on it is an uncomfortable chair.
And I think there's something to be said for that. I think with Homer and Eddie, it doesn't necessarily do that.
Right.
I think that, and you had said that you don't see it as like exploiting it at all.
I guess kind of, but like, I don't know.
The way I see it, I kind of think of it this way, and I thought about it while I was watching the movie. Like, does Homer have to be mentally challenged?
Right.
At all? Like, would his character be the same? How does it change if he was, your typical normal everyday? And sure, there's the climax of the movie, the turning point where you find out where his family comes from, why he's trying to get home, and why that disconnect goes to be. But you could certainly make that story about anything else,
right?
So, and then there's how far do they go with that? I mean, some of the things that he does in the movie don't necessarily play up to being as mentally challenged as you would think he would be.
Well, I guess that's what I was getting at, is that they certainly could have made it even more of a caricature. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of what I was expecting going in, and they didn't play it up as much as I thought they were going to.
Yeah.
And so then it just became this sort of, I guess kind of weird. I essentially what they were going for was sort of the
Yeah.
I can't say the word.
Naivete. Damn you.
Yes. He was very naive
Yes.
and very trusting and very like just wanted to be friends and that sort of thing. And I guess that's what they were going for. And if they had just made him a person that did not have some kind of disability, perhaps they thought that part wouldn't be as believable or something. But I mean, again, they could have. I guess I expected it to be worse as far as how they, addressed the character's disability than it was.
Right.
That's not to say it was good. It just wasn't as bad as I expected it to be. The movie was as bad as I expected it to be. Just not. I did think that David Cross oversold it, I would say, in his book, because he makes it sound like it's going to be like The Room. Like, have you seen The Room? Yeah, and like not like the actual movie The Room is unintentionally hilarious. Like we laughed so hard watching that. This was not funny.
No,
it was just
awkward.
It was awkward and a train wreck, and it didn't like it. It just it was awkward on a lot of levels. I think the chorus of your song, like Homer and Eddie, is the movie, was sort of my reaction to it. It was sort of like, I don't even know what to say. Like it was a movie, but I don't really know what else to say about it. It was just.
I'm not sure if I want to watch this.
Oh,
movie.
you don't?
No,
you don't.
I wouldn't waste your time.
No, there was nothing.
No,
there was.
I mean, there's not even an unless in that. I almost had to do it in a 2-chunk because I think
I did do it in multiple chunks.
It was a rainy day.
Yeah,
I was watching it, and there was
You 2-chunked a movie on a rainy day.
I almost 2-chunked,
but it was sort of weird. Like it was like they couldn't make up their mind between whether they wanted to be like, a buddy comedy kind of thing, or like, I don't know, Natural Born Killers, like going on a crime spree, kind of like horrible kind of thing. Like they, at some points, like it was like they were trying to make it funny, but it wasn't really funny. And so it was just kind of awkward and weird throughout the entire.
Well, I really felt it was like whoever produced it, kind of had this idea, and maybe we're having a conversation with Whoopi Goldberg and Jim Belushi, and they had like sparked an interest in doing something a little bit more serious or whatever.
Yeah, right.
And said, "Hey, let me give you this project to work on," because it seems like a very film makery type project, especially when you get to like near the end when. Okay, first of all, John Waters makes a cameo in it, and so that alone was like okay, this is like
that was weird.
Yeah.
It was like a very small cameo. Yeah,
the cameo to the boy, is that John Waters?
Yeah.
And but do you know who John Waters is, Dominic?
No,
he's a filmmaker. Look him up. You'll be interested.
Yeah.
He's got some interesting stuff. But he's got that cameo in it.
I'll be back in a second.
And that was like my first clue into like, all right, well, this is something different here. And then the scene when like right after the murder, and like they have like the driving away, the nighttime, and it starts like kind of flashing, just like the tail. It's like a completely different view of the movie, like that you've seen at all.
Right.
The music and stuff going. It's like, okay, so this was, and this it kind of reminded me of when we were talking about the Humanity Bureau, where you're like, maybe they just wanted this one scene. Like they got this idea in their head, and like, well, how do we throw everything else to get there? How do we get to this point? So, it's.
But yeah, it was. I definitely got done watching that, and I was sort of like thinking they actually made this movie and released this movie. Like, I don't know.
I didn't. Yeah, I didn't look to see like how it did.
Yeah, I don't think it did well.
Yeah, but I do. As I was watching it, I think I'd seen some of it before.
Really?
Like when it was on HBO or something.
Yeah.
Because as I was kind of like, I recognize like some of this. I don't remember what scenes were specific, but and then the violence, like as far as like Eddie beating on Homer and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't know. It's just,
Yeah.
it's a strange find. I don't know if Whoopi and Jim are up for a sequel.
Yeah, do not recommend. Do not recommend.
No, actually, that's another.
Well, I'm back for the Promised Land.
No, what were you doing?
I was looking up.
Looking up the
John
movie?
Waters?
I was looking up the person you told me to look up.
Oh, John Waters. Let's see.
You're gonna become a big John Waters fan.
No.
Oh, that's some of the movie. Oh, yeah, Pink Flamingos.
Where'd it go?
No, right up there.
What? It disappeared. Hold on. Right, it's back.
So yeah, these are the movies he's done. Pink
Crybaby.
Flamingo. I forgot about Crybaby.
Yeah, that was one that was always on TV when I was.
Alvin and the Chipmunks?
What? Was he just in it like a cameo?
Let's
Cecil B. Demented, Pecker. I remember those.
yeah.
I forgot Vine was such a big thing.
Remember when I was talking about how we just pulled? I was talking about before the show. We were talking about how you pulled up a bunch of stuff, and I was talking about like how you don't put anything on the screen and you're just talking about it. What's on your phone? This is exactly what I was criticizing them for earlier.
This is a segment right here where we look at stuff.
He also he also had something to do with Blacklist.
Yeah, I saw that.
The TV show.
That must have just been a cameo too. That's a weird thing about looking at the things on Google. Like when you look up somebody and it's kind of just shows you stuff they're related to somewhere or the other.
That's like Homer and Eddie. I looked it up and I saw, oh, John Waters. That's interesting. And then it was like
Just that quick cameo.
2 seconds in it. Yeah.
I was really bothered about that whole motive too. Like, so Eddie is ready to go on this road trip for $87 to hunt down these two. And at first I was like, oh, it's just a scam. But I mean, wait a minute. That's not even a scam at that point. You're just letting this guy ride in your car.
For $87.
Yeah, it's like, what's happening here? Oh, there he is.
Want to see his cameo?
He definitely has a distinct look.
You've
that
never seen a
mustache.
chipmunk in first class before?
Actually, I recently flew next to the chipmunk, and they were ladies.
Hey, don't judge me. I saw pink flamingos. I saw pink flamingos. I saw pink flamingos.
It's just a repeating.
Oh, okay.
So this is even better than when we look at pictures on our phone. Now we're actually
Yeah.
sit here watching.
Now you guys get to
But-
hear audio.
They've got the audio. So
You
it's
can
the mic
watch
is
us
better.
watch.
Well, let's reenact it. Right. So you got John Waters up here, and you got just Alvin down here, and you can hear the voices, but he's slurping.
No, he's slurping. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm slurping. What, spaghetti? I don't know.
Yeah.
A noodle of some kind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm disgusted.
Yep.
What? You've never seen a chipmunk in first class before?
Actually, I recently flew next to the chipmunk, and they were ladies.
Okay.
Hey, don't judge
I don't have
me.
the lines
I
down,
saw
but maybe
pink
next time you
flamingos.
get
Yeah,
it.
And I'm like
yeah.
a flight
And then-
attendant or
and
something
then-
off to the side.
Yeah, and then
Off
I
camera.
make fun of him for pink flamingos.
So, which I think is the joke there, because John Waters is so disgusted with a chipmunk slurping spaghetti, but he makes disgusting movies. Like,
Yeah.
that's his thing.
Which I would imagine, I guess that's a joke aimed at the adults in the, like the parents that are watching that.
Yes.
But I don't know how many parents have seen Pink Flamingo. I mean, maybe.
Well, let's do a poll. If you've seen Pink Flamingos, comment. But it's kind of funny. There's a connection there too, because David Cross was in Alvin and the Chipmunks.
That's right.
And
David Cross been in a lot of different things.
yeah, I looked him up on Roku just to
I
like.
feel like he's somebody that pops up places, and I'm like, hey, that's David Cross.
Yeah, it's like a whack-a-mole.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't actually watched Pink Flamingos.
I was gonna say I haven't seen Pink Flamingos either. That's why I
All
said
right,
I
let's
wonder
see-
how many people.
Let's
have
see,
actually
why
seen
is Pink Flamingos controversial?
Yeah. Previously, chicken getting squashed during a vigorous sex session between Crackers and his date. Okay. A man artificially inseminating a woman after masturbating into a cupped palm. Okay.
A man singing with his anus.
Okay.
Oh,
Hey,
that's like
yeah.
Jim Carrey's done that. A bunch of
Yeah.
times.
Pet Detective.
Yeah, Ace Ventura.
That's where he got it from, I guess.
Oh yeah, maybe that was a Pink Flamingos reference, and I just never knew that.
Maybe I need to watch Pink Flamingos just to see all the
Just
references.
so now we get it.
that,
Yeah. Oh.
that's where that
Yeah.
came from. I can ruin every movie.
You're gonna turn into your mom.
Yeah, well, no. She just ruins movies by like talking through the movie and asking questions at the.
As if you've seen them.
Yeah, like we'll be starting a movie nobody's seen before, and at the beginning of it, did so and so? Do you think so and so? It's like, can we just watch the movie? Like, are you a talker in movies?
I'm notorious for like when I figure something out or like sharing a theory and being like, "Oh, I bet," and then
I used to
which
do
is
that.
probably really annoying.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm sure
I'm sorry for.
my wife doesn't like that.
Did you do that?
I used to do
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I don't anymore. Now I'll just let out the occasional giggle or scoff.
And that's fine.
Yeah, that's normal movie watcher behavior.
Yeah, I mean, you can't be silent watching a movie.
Yeah.
I mean, you can be, but
And then it's not a good movie if there's no interaction at
Right.
all.
Yeah, I've learned to stop myself from doing
Doing
that because
that.
I used to like, and every time I do, I'm like, ooh, I want to say it. I almost want to bring a notepad with me
Yeah,
and just
yeah,
like
yeah.
write it down.
So you're like, look, I had that. Yeah, no,
I was right.
yeah, I know.
All right, let's see. Homer and Eddie review. So we agree. Homer and Eddie was.
Skip it. Don't watch it.
Don't watch Homer and
It
Eddie
was-
unless
it
you
was-
want to.
It was not as funny as David Cross made it sound, like bad funny, but it was just bad.
Yeah, yeah. But definitely listen to my song on SoundCloud, Homer and Eddie. It gives you a synopsis of the movie.
Yes, and it's much shorter, so I would just do
Yes.
that. That will tell you what the movie is. all about.
I have not seen this these show notes yet, and I'm just kind of scanning through, and it is.
I do want to
This is
know.
definitely not updated
Yeah,
because I have stuff that's on there that is not showing up. So I think you
Maybe
needed to
you
refresh
forgot.
your. Have you refreshed your?
Did you save it? I mean, this is just
It's
what
Google
I
Docs. It shaves automatically. It
Well,
saves automatically, not
it's-
shaves.
yeah.
That'd be awesome if it shaved automatically. Here, let's do this.
no, I think he edited it earlier. So
Yeah,
That's
I
enough.
totally put it on there. That's so weird. Anyway, that's okay. So, because I was gonna say, I thought I took out all that Corey stuff. All right, yeah. Talk to us about Rio Bravo. That's on your.
Yeah,
what's-
actually, I'll let you start with Rio Bravo.
what
Like,
is Rio Bravo?
that's the restaurant we went to.
Oh, Rio Bravo. Yeah, they had it was a really weird time. There was one guy who pretty much had it on lockdown through the entire time we were there, and there was this one girl who I assume didn't know how to do a lot and just kept going to get him every time we interacted. She'd be like, "Yeah, I can do that for you. Give me 1 second," and then she said, "I'd be right back," and then just went to go get the guy and left us.
So he's like the only one that knew what was.
Yeah, there was also some food mishaps. A food mishap.
So Rio Bravo is the new restaurant in Westbrook, and it's a chain of sorts. I don't know how big the chain
I don't think
is.
it's a very big one because my parents went there recently and they said it's not a chain, it's a family-owned restaurant, but there's like 3 or 4 of them, but not like a national.
Okay.
It's not like
just like franchised.
right.
Whatever.
Yeah, but it's not not a huge.
So we went there, and the first interaction we had was this woman who is the hostess or hostess in training. I don't know what the deal was, but like Candy goes up to say, "Hey, we got 4. There's people waiting and stuff," and the hostess like looks at her, and I don't even know if there was really an interaction or anything. Like asked, said how many, blah blah blah, and then says, "I'll be right back," and walks away. And then there's nobody else there, and she didn't write anything down or anything like that. And so we're just kind of standing there. And then the guy that was apparently running the show comes up. And the only reason it was funny to me because he's like, "She's not coming back." It's like, can I take you? How many? Yeah. It takes all that information again. So we're like, why? It was going to be like a 40-minute wait. So we're like, yeah, we'll go over to Kohl's and walk around. So I commented on it as we were leaving. And Candy's just like, as if I'm being cruel about the statement of like laughing about this. Like, that's kind of crazy. And he's like, And so anyway, so we ended up sitting down and we're ordering our food, and it was busy, and you could see people are kind of rushing around. You see the guy that's the host just like running around making sure stuff are going. We all order and stuff, and everybody's food comes out. I don't have anything in front of me. I had ordered food, and so the waiter leaves, and then I still don't have any food or anything. And then he comes back to do like that check thing, and gives a look of, "Is everything okay?" And I'm looking at it, it's like I just don't have any food.
I never got any food.
And he just kind of gives me a blank stare type thing, and he darts off to the wait station. Doesn't say anything, doesn't like acknowledge it all. And so I'm just sitting there. I'm like, and we're all kind of sitting at the table talking, and everybody else is eating. Because they were like, "Do you want us to wait?" I was like, "No, I don't think I'm getting my food." And so I'm in. My
You're
family
going to
was,
be taking yours home, essentially.
well, I didn't even expect that because of the reaction. And Dominic had ordered something else with his.
I ordered like a burger and like I don't remember. It was a kind of taco because I didn't know if I would like the food, so I had a burger to fall back on just in case. And I did not like the burger, and the other plate of food never made it. Also, when he was like, "Yeah, no," he accepted it. He accepted that there was not going to be any food. They brought the food out after we could hear behind him talking about. I think they got his food.
Yeah, the table behind us, they're like going over the bill, like, "Well, we didn't order this shrimp." Blah blah blah. I was like, "That's not fun." It's like, there it is.
Yeah.
But like, so the whole time, I'm just the rest of my family is like, "Well, you want some fries?" And there was some appetizers. All right, so I'm just filling up on this stuff.
Yeah.
I've relegated myself. I'm not getting food, and then like all of a sudden, this big plate of food comes. It's like I don't even want this now. But I didn't get charged for it, so that was a bonus.
I wonder if, I mean, obviously it just opened, but I also wonder if the current employment situation plays a part. Like maybe they have some inexperienced people, because I know I went to Dick's Sporting Goods. Not that I expect great customer service at Dick's Sporting Goods, but like it was terrible. Like the kid that helped me was probably 14 or so, like looked very young, and he basically came out and he's like, "You know, what do you want?" And like, "Oh, I need cleats for her. What size?" And he came back, didn't ask me like which ones I was interested in, just came back with a box of cleats. "Here you go." I was like, "All right." And then he walked away. Like, you know, usually they, you know, help you check the size and stuff. No, so he walks away. They didn't fit her. So then we're sitting there for like a good 10 minutes. Nobody's around to like, you know, it's not like they were busy or anything. Right. Just guy disappeared. Finally comes back, and so I'm like, "Oh, you know, we need a bigger size, and could you look for these ones?" And he comes back, you know, another 5 or 10 minutes, comes back, and just kind of like couldn't find the ones he wanted, threw the box at me, and then walked off again. So we just like left him and walked out.
Wow.
Yeah, but I mean, I think it's like they'll take anybody to work, and probably, you know, it doesn't matter if you have experience or what. So maybe that plays into it. But I mean, I know restaurants when they first open can be kind of. Was the food any good? Generic like Mexican restaurant kind of food.
I like I said, I got a burger. The fries were really good.
Yeah.
They were like perfect. They're crispy on the outside, perfect like that. That fried thing.
I like them too. Yeah.
Delicious fries. We had Philly cheesesteak egg roll thing. Yeah. Those are pretty good.
Yeah. Just like they make them in Mexico.
Yep. Just like your authentic Tijuana Philly steak egg rolls. And I actually went back the next day just to sit at the bar and for lunch. I grabbed a beer and their wings. The wings were really good.
Yeah.
I think they're like frozen wings that are kind of, because like the bottom of the plate was cold, but they tasted really good. So the sauce, whatever they put on that, I recommend. And they're like, it's like the really soft chicken and stuff. So if you like chicken wings, I recommend that at Rio Bravo.
We're going to check it out sometime soon as well, just because it's close by. And,
yeah. That's the thing that's nice about it. Like, it's a close by restaurant.
It's one of those ones that's like good for a family, good for close, not necessarily expecting the greatest meal you could get, but it could be good.
But I'm cursed with that spot though, because when it was Ruby Tuesdays, I was super excited to get some jambalaya there one night. I saw it on the menu. I was like, oh, jambalaya. I love jambalaya. That's a random thing that I really love. And I like take a couple bites into it, and there's like a metal shard, like from a.
You should have
like
sued them
scrub
for
brush.
lots and lots of money.
I know,
Yeah.
and I should have at least gotten more of a reaction.
Right,
than
you
I
should
got
put it
from
in your
the
mouth
staff.
and bit down really hard on it.
But so I bring it up to like I'm trying to get a hold of the waiter to be like, hey, I got this, and then so I ended up going up to the host because I couldn't get a hold of the waiter, and I'm like, hey, I found this in my food, or like, and they were just like, oh, okay. Do you want another bowl of jambalaya? Like, not like that wasn't a big deal.
At least they offered you a new bowl.
Yeah,
Like,
I did not want another bowl of jambalaya because I wasn't sure if it came from the same pot or anything.
They could have grabbed it and been like, oh, what metal shard? I didn't see any metal shard. You're a liar.
Lies! But
My
So
only
it didn't
experience at that Ruby Tuesdays, I had a great aunt. Her name was Aunt Helen, and she's kind of like my grandmother. But she one day wanted to go out to dinner or to lunch or something. I think it was lunch. So she asked me if I'd take her out to lunch. So I'm like, all right, she's probably 94 at this point or something. So I take her out there, and she ordered surf and turf for like lobster tail and steak. But she wanted the steak. She didn't want to eat the steak because she's old and can't eat much. She wanted to have it raw to bring home.
mhm.
And they're like, we can't give you a raw steak. And so she got in this like big argument with them. And she's like, well, I'm not going to leave until you give me my steak. And like this whole thing. And I'm sitting there like, she's this nice, like mild-mannered lady, but she wanted that raw steak.
Wow.
And so it was just kind of awkward. Like, I don't think they can legally give you a raw steak. Like, like if you eat it, get sick or something.
Right.
Like, yeah. She also one time, she was about, this tall, like really, really short. And she came back from a flight once, and we brought her home from the airport, and they get a call like an hour later. And she said, somebody got in my luggage and stole some things. And so I need you to bring me back to the airport so I can file a report. So I like pick her up and we take her back. And so what she thought somebody stole were a pair of pants that were leopard print pants. But they would have had to be like for somebody that's like this tall. Like nobody's stealing your old lady super small leopard print pants. And so I'm like, are you sure? Like, you have them. And so we go there, and she's arguing with the people there again. Nice mountain-mannered lady arguing with them. And it was like, they're like, well, I don't think any of our employees would have stolen your pants, and this whole thing. And so I eventually get her to go home, and then she remembered that she mailed them to herself. She mailed some things from California back to Maine, and
That was
leopard print
I
pants. So yeah,
can't wait
good
to get
times.
older and I can do those types of things. And
yeah, act like a jerk and not. Sorry.
Yeah, you got a lot to look forward to, buddy.
Yeah, if you saw the faces I just made while you were talking about that.
What is Monday Night Football all about?
Oh, I'm going to the Eagles opening Monday Night Football game.
You are?
Yeah, down in Philadelphia.
How did that happen?
Apparently my cousin's a huge Eagles fan,
Yeah, that's cool.
and he couldn't get like friends of his to go, so he reached out to my dad, and because my dad lives down in Chester, and so he's like, yeah, you want to go? And my dad was like, yeah, let me see if Andre wants to come too.
Cool.
So
So
he
you're
gave me a
going down
call.
to Philly?
Yeah. So I'm taking a train down there that weekend.
Do you know who they're playing against?
The Vikings.
Don't put on any Vikings
I know.
gear.
I thought about it. I was like, yeah, maybe I'll put it. No, I don't want to do that.
Philly fans are they're the ones that like threw snowballs at Santa Claus one time and stuff. Yeah, they can be a little rough. So.
Yeah, I'm just gonna play it cool.
Yeah. That's the way to go.
Put on both. Just half and half.
Yeah, I wear.
You're like one of those moms where she's gonna play her on both teams, and so she.
Maybe I'll get some giant eagle wings and a Viking helmet. And
I would just go
You're the
with,
worst kind of indifferent.
Go
You're
with,
enthusiastic about both.
Yes.
Go with green or Phillies or not Phillies, Eagles.
Maybe I'll just wear Patriots gear.
Yeah, I would not recommend that either. Nope. go incognito.
But yeah, so that'll be fun. I've never been to a professional sports game, like a NFL.
Yeah, like
or-
Major League.
Yeah, Major League or
Get
anything
a
like that. So
get
that'll
a
be cool.
He said go at low, get and stay invisible. Get like a camo suit, but have it like custom Viking logo. Just hidden in the camo.
Into the patch or into the pattern.
Yeah.
Get a full on like eagle costume. Go like that. Be like one of those guys that go
I'll
to the
be like-
extreme.
I'll get whatever the mascot wears and just kind of run up while they're out there doing their thing. Do
And
they
just-
still do that? I don't know.
And
that'd
then
be
just
cool.
fight the mascot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, so that'd be a lot of fun. And sadly enough, like one of the exciting things for me is taking the train down there. I've never
Yeah, I love
Taking
I used to I take the train to Boston sometimes. Like that's the way to travel.
Yeah.
Just sit and
I turned down
Sure.
taking a train with them one time.
Oh yeah, we went down to Boston. that
Yeah,
time.
and you were like, "You want to take a train?" I was like, "No, trains scare me."
I like taking.
They're fun because you just sit and chill.
They're talking about putting a train in that goes to Montreal,
Yeah,
which it's going to be several years, but that would be a cool trip to go up there. And
yeah. I would once they put that in there, if they actually do
Yeah,
it.
I
Because
would
Candy
totally-
mentioned it the
I
other
would
day.
totally do
Yeah.
that.
That's a train trip we should take it when they do that.
Yeah.
But Boston, we could always go down to Boston.
He's abandoning me on my birthday. Can you believe this guy?
Okay, so I asked. So his birthday is the 18th. The game is the 20th, and so that weekend. And so I planned around it. I asked him specifically, "Hey, this game is happening, and I can either leave on Saturday, on Sunday, or Friday. But if you want to do something, let me know." And he does not want to do anything.
You will have other birthdays.
I'm
You
not-
will not have other opportunities.
Yeah,
to
I am
go-
not a big birthday celebrator either, so it is not a big issue for me. It's fine,
Well, if you get upset, you can call me up, and I will soothe you with my nice soothing voice and help you feel better.
Calm you down.
I don't have a preference. I just like teasing him for stuff.
Oh, we split the household with the birthday love. Like I think me and Dominic both are. I don't really care about my birthday,
Yeah.
whatever. But I think Riley and Candy are huge birthday people.
Yeah.
It's scary.
She was trying to get me to have a birthday or something.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's. Are you guys big into birthdays at your place?
We do the thing that they tell you shouldn't do, which is celebrate with food.
Mm.
And so I like to use my birthday as an excuse to I love like a super chocolatey cake with
Mm.
they're great.
chocolate ganache and
I
chocolate
can-
mousse. in
I have to
between the
have them in
layers and-
super small slivers though.
Oh no, I eat super huge slivers. But so that's my thing is we're gonna get make a meal I really like or have, and I always have this cake. I always have to make it myself because I do all the cooking in my house.
Right.
So I, bake my own birthday cake, and Andrew complains I'm spending all day baking my own birthday cake and that sort of thing. So we do stuff like that. But
I mean, then you don't have to worry about it not being.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
well no,
You get to make it to
Right.
however you want.
exactly.
And if you're like this guy, you're gonna make some weird experiment, and it's not gonna end up being a cake. It's gonna be a
Yeah.
big cookie.
well, and for me,
That's fine.
making the stuff is part of the fun. Like I enjoy
Yeah.
It's that creative
I
process.
I wouldn't be surprised if he tried to make something for his birthday and the oven just exploded.
I don't do a lot of baking. Like the last
That's
time
the
I did
issue,
bake-
though.
Yeah.
If you
And
do
the thing
try,
the thing with baking too is you can't it's not like cooking where you can be like, I'm gonna just throw these
Right.
ingredients. Baking's like a science. Like it has to
Yeah.
be a certain way.
We used to do and I think we kind of do still, go out to eat wherever somebody
Yeah,
wants to
exactly, we
go
do
on their
that, yeah.
birthday.
I think the only reason we do it for me, I know that, but for Riley, we don't do it because he went to spare time, then had a sleepover, then went to round one the next day.
Riley has the most extravagant birthday.
Yeah, and I can only imagine how much it costs. But and then I'm always talking about how maybe he could get more expensive gifts since he doesn't have such a giant birthday party.
Yeah, there you go.
But and I'm over here just they used to shut off our internet and instead of having a big birthday party, I said, yeah, can you keep my internet on all day? That's all I wanted.
Yeah.
24 hours of internet. That's good times. All right. So we already talked about my fat beats.
We should go more into that though at some point. Not you don't have to do it today, but like you're gonna make an album with your 12. What did you say?
I got
12,
13 tracks
13
now.
tracks. Do you have like a name for your album? Is that something we should?
Well,
The
it's
other album.
It's all available on SoundCloud.
Yeah.
Under Warrior X is my my name there, so you can check it out. And actually, it's in the link is in the playlist.
Is it a
in
concept
YouTube.
album?
No, it's just. I mean, I think for the past 13 days or so. Actually, I think on Sunday I made like 3 songs, but I've been pretty much every day making a different song and just putting it out, whatever. But then today I learned about this Beats Space. I don't remember what it's called, but you can like sell your beats and stuff. And I was watching this YouTube video of this kid that had been doing it, and he's like showing his progression about what you can do. It's like, ooh, I'm gonna mess around with this, see if I can make some money doing it. So
There you go.
it's pretty good. The way I see it is, and it's like that with a lot of talents or things that people can do. And this is a life lesson for you, Dominic. Like, there's a lot of things like you take for granted of things that you can do that other people just either can't do or don't do. And it's like, all right, put that stuff out there and see. And there's a lot of people that are impressed with that for whatever reason and will pay you money to do that kind of stuff. So that's been kind of fun. It'll be my
I definitely do take after you in the kind of thing where I just kind of get like discover new things that I want to do and just kind of like spend a thing on that. But I'm not very committed to it. Like I'll do it for like a couple weeks or like a month max, and then I'll drop it and move on to the next thing. But then, every once in a while I'll come back to it for a while too. So it's not just like permanently stopping what I'm doing.
I think one of my favorite things I've ever seen you do is when you did your road show or your side of the road magic show.
No, we don't talk about that. We're not talking about those times. We don't.
You made money standing on the corner doing a magic show. Like cars drove by.
Oh yeah, I made money doing that. It was
awesome.
I did a.
Screw you and your lemonade stand. I can do roadside magic. That's so cool.
It was amazing. Yeah.
I made like $11 in a day.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
it was so cool. It's like goes to the side of the road, sets up a sign, magic tricks for $1, and like people walk by. And somebody like took a picture and put it on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Like some stranger.
Yeah.
Or whatever. I was like, oh wow, that's kind of crazy. But that was like what madness. But
That's really funny.
and he was doing the balloon animals and stuff. He still does that every now and again for
I don't do it like as for like parties or stuff anymore like I used to. I used to go to like Centerpoint like you were saying and do it there. But now I stopped doing that. I'll just do it like when my friends come over. I'll make swords and then they'll just fight each other with that. And I made a big octopus that my friend took home, and then their sibling got mad because it popped.
9 times.
That's cool though, because like we and Andre and I have talked about this, but that's one of the things I really respect about your dad is that he has these interests and he pursues them and he doesn't care. Like I don't care if people like my music or not. I'm just gonna go make music and put it out there and do it because I enjoy doing it. And I think a lot of people would not be willing to put themselves out there, not be willing to take on that thing because they'd say, oh, I'm not good at it or I don't know anything about it. Whereas, your dad will try it and experiment with it and find out more about it. And that's what I always respect, about him.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way as he is in the sense of like I can do all that stuff, but I feel like in my mind it's not as personal or as on big of a scale as he has. Like I don't like to put like my real name out there and stuff. Like I don't like people like knowing kind of who I am. It's a lot better to be in like the anonymous kind of state of it. It's definitely a lot more comfortable. Like I had a TikTok page for a while, and I recently deleted all those because oh my god, no. But like I was fine with strangers seeing them, but as soon as like people that I knew and like my close friends and stuff found out, I was like, this has got to go. This is like.
We'll have to get you a big mouse. Like, what's that? DJ Danger
Yeah.
Mouse?
Yeah.
And you can start doing shows. That's not you doing the shows. Was it you that was telling me about how he does those shows?
What? No, it wasn't me.
It must have been Kyle.
Was it MF Doom? The Doom
MF
boss?
Doom, yeah. The Doom boss, yeah.
My memory is amazing.
Have you heard about that?
No.
So he does shows, but it's not necessarily him doing the shows.
Oh, yeah.
And they call them Doom bots.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're like look nothing like whatever his stature is. Like sometimes it'll be like a really short person or whatever. It's like, oh, it's a Doom bot or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's part of the thing. Like the audience doesn't know if it's actually him performing or not.
Yeah, that's cool.
Which is pretty crazy.
Yep.
And they were Kyle was talking about how sometimes people are like, yay, we got to see a Doom bot, or like, nah, it wasn't like the real MF Doom. But he's just saying how it is kind of hard to get into those concerts, and to like, even when you do, like, it's still cool because the Doom bots were kind of rare, from what he was saying. So it was cool to see both.
All right, Pat, how do we feel about airplanes?
So this is one. I had some stuff on there last week. So I'm not as good at coming up with these ideas. I always look at the notes, and you've got all these different totally random things on there, and I'm always like, I don't even know what I would talk about. So last week I put it out to my family, and so Andrea's first one was, how do people feel about airplanes? Because my wife and I get along with most things, but one of the things that sort of drives me crazy about her is she is absolutely obsessed with airplanes.
Mm-hmm.
And like, she thinks airplanes are the coolest thing ever. And I feel like I can appreciate that flight is an amazing thing, that we have been able to, invent airplanes that can, carry people across the world and things like that. But like, she's to the point where we'll be driving in a car and she'll see an airplane flying up and she'll be like, ah! And like scream, and I will like think we're about to die, and it's just an airplane. Or literally every time an airplane goes by, she has the flight radar app, and she's going to look up where it came from.
Oh, really?
Or the airport changed they're doing some work on their runways, so the flight patterns changed, and so for a while they were going directly over our house like all day long, and everybody I know hated it except for her, and every time one would come, she'd run outside and look at it. So like, one of us is weird. Either me, who is so not impressed with any of this, or her, who acts like she's never seen an airplane before and is blown away every single time she sees it. So we just basically want a verdict on who's weird. Me, who's just like, okay, yeah, it's an airplane, or her, who freaks out and loses her mind.
Well, I kind of wish that airplanes in the night sky were like shooting stars.
Oh my god.
So I can really use a wish right now.
Yeah.
I've never given thought to airplanes.
So then you're in my camp.
Yeah, well, from a ground level. So every time I go on an airplane, I think there's a part of me that gets like fascinated the fact that I am going up into it and all that stuff, and that's when that kind of.
But day-to-day life.
I mean.
Well, and the thing is too, like, we'll be driving by the jetport. We pass it multiple times a day, every day, or twice a day, every day, because we go to and from work. And so that's where she like freaks out, because she sees an airplane landing or taking off. And granted, it is a pretty close-up view, but I'm like, you're near an airport. Like, what do you expect? And you've seen that, a million times.
Right.
Yeah.
I think I don't freak out when I see an airplane, but I do think it's cool to see it like land. Or taking off is weirdly less interesting than landing for me.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just seeing how like low it is when it goes down. Like, we were driving right past an airport, and there was an airplane landing right when we were right next to it, like up next to the fence. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. But I'm not like, oh, airplane.
I think with a landing versus a taking off, like, I think it's cool because like that, it's crazy to think of the physics. Like, that giant thing is coming down, falling out of the sky, and like those, I mean, comparatively small wheels and little legs are just like hitting and like supporting that. And I think there's that natural instinct to like, is it gonna crash? Is it gonna like blow up? Are those legs gonna give out? Versus, when it's taking off, like it's up, and I can assume we're safe once it's off the ground. But looking up. I'm never distracted by an airplane, I guess. Like, unless it's got a banner.
I'm going to count that as a win for me.
Yeah, it's a win
for
my side of things. And I think Dominic was...
Yeah, like I said, like unless it's like got something where it's messing with the smoke or it's got a banner, then it's...
All right, I'm going to have you settle another fight for me then. So, or disagreement, I should say. We went to the Ghost of Paul Revere concert on Saturday. It was their last show ever, big main band. It was a good show. One of the things that was kind of funny at the beginning of it, they had the governor come out because one of their songs is the Maine State Ballad. And so the governor came out and introduced the band, and they apparently weren't ready to come out yet. So Janet Mills is on stage and she's, everybody, the Ghost of Paul Revere. And they start playing some music and they don't come out. And so she starts doing like the old lady kind of like dancing up on stage, and it was just kind of awkward. And you know what I mean by like old lady dancing.
Yeah.
And that's not to make fun of old lady dancing, because if I was up dancing, it would be really terrible too. Like I can't
old
dance.
lady dancing is cool.
But I was just like, that would be my worst nightmare, to be up on a stage in front of everybody.
Especially when you're
hey, everyone, all right.
Especially when you're like a relatively big public figure.
I'm sure in your head she's like, I hope nobody's videotaping,
right?
But anyway, so we were at the concert, and we've seen them a bunch of times, and I realized that one of my biggest pet peeves with going to a concert, one of the things I think makes the biggest difference between it being a good show or like a great show and being not so good, are the people around you in the crowd and talking at a concert. So there were a number of people around me that were just having really loud conversations throughout the entire show, some of whom may have been people in my party that had a little too much to drink. But like, it just takes me out of the concert to have people having these loud conversations. Now I'm fine with like singing along to it, even if it's loud and obnoxious singing, it's still singing along or cheering, but like people talking about things totally unrelated to the concert just drives me insane. But I was talking to my wife about it, and she was saying how, well, no, it's like, a show, people are just out having a good time with their friends. And I'm like, well, no, if you're going to a concert, you should be going to a concert because you want to hear the music, not because you want to go hang out with your friends. Like, you can hang out with your friends at a concert, but once the concert's going, it should be focused on the music.
Right.
I don't know. What do you think about that one?
Is this that question?
No. Remember, yours did not update.
Okay.
I was showing you my phone had it all updated.
Gotcha.
This is not updating for whatever reason.
Because I was really confused. I'm like,
no,
right, who's Taylor and who's Kim in this?
That's a whole nother. That's my daughter's suggestion for a topic.
Okay.
She was also very upset we didn't talk about that last week.
When I would have gone with your updated version if you kept your phone out. But
that's my fault.
Yeah.
I gave him his phone back.
No.
I gave him his phone because I wanted to check something. I did not get the results of.
Gotcha.
I was trying to see if Rio Bravo was a chain or a family-owned restaurant.
Oh, okay.
I think it's kind of like margaritas. There were like a few of them, but not like it's not like you can go to California and hit a Rio Bravo,
right?
Yeah.
All right. So the concert thing, I especially if you're at a concert that. Like you paid to go to a concert versus like if you go to a bar.
Right. Yeah. Different situation.
Like, I if I'm standing in the crowd, I think that's a good indicator that I want to see the show as opposed to like talk to the people around.
That's all. Like if you want to go talk, go back to the bar area or something and have a conversation.
And you'll be able to hear each other a little better too.
Right.
I don't think there's any need for people to have side
or to have a talk in between songs and be like, oh yeah, that was a really good
that's
but like, come on.
Yeah.
All right, I went again.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell my wife that I came here.
I've only been to one concert. It was really loud. I did not enjoy it.
What was it?
Pentatonics. well, like it was just too loud. Like I
Really?
enjoy listening to music. That's it was just like we drove a couple blocks away and we could still hear it.
Yeah, I was up in Bangor at the.
They just had the
It was
sound
like
levels up really high.
yeah, it was like 10, and it was still hard to sleep because you could just hear it still, so loud and annoying. The lemonade was really good though.
They enjoyed the merch.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, after like 4 years, the merch was awesome. The lemonade was great. The only thing is the volume.
Volume was too loud. Yeah. Shows can be pretty loud.
That's a fun little trip, though.
Yeah, it was. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think that's settled.
Yep. All right. Win for me.
Is there any
I'm
other?
satisfied. No, well, I'll tell my daughter we're going to table Team Taylor or Team Kim.
What is that?
Maybe we can bring her on to talk about which one she. Oh, that's what I'll do. I'll try to get her on here by saying she can come on. And talk
Yeah,
about it.
I'm intrigued. I mean, we can do one at your house too if she doesn't want to travel. We can.
In case you want to look into it, so Taylor Swift has a new album coming out, which is in a way a concept album. It's supposedly all songs that she wrote at midnight, in the middle of the night. All songs that she's like, I've been saving these up for years. I'm like, so for years you've been waking up at midnight writing songs and being like, I might make that into an album, whatever. So anyway, she's releasing it on the same day as Kim Kardashian's birthday. And so there's a big thing about, was that a dig at Kim, trying to take Kim's thunder because of the Kim and Kanye versus Taylor Swift things? My daughter is
I am not in the loop.
very, well, you know, like the Kim and Kanye.
Yeah. Well, they get a divorce.
No, or not Kim and Kanye versus Taylor.
I was just go back to the.
So when he interrupted her speech, and then they wanted to have her like on a song or rap about it, you know, like that, and then she said she didn't agree to it, but they said she did, and then they released like an audio feed, like a recording of a phone call where she was like, yeah, that would be fun, but then she says it was that clip was taken out of context. It was this whole thing. I have a 13-year-old daughter at home,
Yeah.
so she's really too into both Taylor Swift and the Kardashians, which is a little scary. Which is very anti, like her mom and I are not into the Kardashians or anything.
Yeah, that surprises me.
That I'm not into the Kardashians.
Yes.
So, hot take: Queen's dead.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
We're not talking about the band.
Yeah.
Although Freddie Mercury.
Yes, that's true. That band kind of still lives though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things, like, obviously that's awful to hear that the Queen has died, but at the same time, like, I kind of expected her to die.
Yeah,
like,
that's what I said to my daughter today. I'm like, she was 96.
Yeah,
Like,
it's not.
She lived a long life. She ruled for 70 years. Like, that's
Yeah.
It's gonna happen soon. So.
All those memes of her being immortal.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah, you made the announcement to the family.
Yeah, I got mad because Cam beat me to it to the friend group.
It was definitely kind of one of those weird things, right? So I have these guys at working on my house today. They were like 4 guys from Royal River Heat Pumps, and you know they're all working, and I can hear them all day, kind of joking back and forth and swearing, and which I didn't mind. And they were nice guys and everything, but you know, talking kind of like you'd expect guys to talk as they're installing stuff. And at one point, one guy goes, "Hey, everybody, did you guys see the Queen died?" And then they all were like, "Oh, that's really too bad." And I'm like, I would not have expected. Like, it's one of those pieces of news that, like, even though like I'm not personally impacted by the Queen dying, but so everybody's like, "Oh wow, the Queen died today." Wow,
right.
You know, like everybody kind of paused for a moment.
And I think that's like kind of like, how do you react in a public setting, like especially here in America, where it's like, that's too bad. I mean, it's kind of like, you know, a distant relative dying. Like, it's like when I've gotten a call from my mom, it's like, Aunt so-and-so died, and I have to literally say, I don't know who that person is. Like, I'm sorry for your
You actually know more about the Queen than you do about this other person.
Exactly, yeah. But yeah, I guess
I'm just gonna, in my head, assume that guy was a huge, like he probably went home and he has like pictures of the Queen all over.
shrine.
He's in mourning now because he's really upset about it. But,
Did you hear about it in school?
Yeah. So it was the last period of the day. I was just chilling, doing the assignment. I had to write like a paragraph for something about global warming, and my partner who was across the table was on her phone, and she was on her Snap story. It's like, is the Queen died? And I was like, what? And she just immediately goes to her laptop and starts typing away. And they're just like, yeah, no, the Queen is dead. And not 5 minutes later, the whole class was just like, the Queen is dead, guys. And then I announced it to the friend group, and I found that Cam beat me to it by 20 minutes.
No.
And I said I was mad, but it was more like, oh, come on, man.
He's on England watch, apparently.
Yeah. Well, he also is homeschooled and has nothing to do all day, so
That's a good point.
that could be a big contributor of why he found out before me.
True. All right.
Should we
wrap
this
here.
up?
In a good hour 40.
Yeah.
We'll get to Monster Squad 2. And
I'm still waiting to hear about the animated movie. I don't want to give it all away.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that one's really intriguing to me. So
animated animal movie.
yeah. At some point, maybe one of our maybe we should try to get through some of the.
Yeah, we'll get to it.
Just cut out.
Maybe we should move some of those things up on the.
I think what we need to do is make this in a different format, because I don't think this outline thing works out well as the way it's laid out. I like the idea of the outline, but like getting to this point.
Just do what I said. Just get like a thing to put above where it's just like points to hit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what we have here.
Yeah, except you have to scroll through it all, and
That's true.
and there's just so much like you have it very, very outlined of just like how you want to do it.
All right, that'll be.
I think the bigger thing is that we tend to go off on different tangents and stuff, which is totally cool. That's
Yeah.
like the heart of the show. But if you want me to be like, I can run it like I used to run meetings at school. Like,
No.
no side conversations.
No, side conversations are good. Like
Yeah.
for
So maybe that'll be our homework assignment for this week. So like, we'll narrow down to like bullet points instead of like necessarily breaking it out like that.
instead of 4 different points.
But maybe we have to each come up with one segment idea. And
one thing or something.
and that way it gives us a little bit more connection.
To at least get us down to the things lower on the list
Yeah.
that are always lower on the list.
You should also figure out what went wrong with the whole phone thing and how that.
Yeah, I have no idea what that was about. That was weird.
Yeah, I wonder if it was I don't know.
Are we looking at 2 different
did you
documents?
did
No,
you
it could be 2
accidentally
different
make a new
ones.
doc?
I don't think so.
I don't know. Anyway,
We'll figure it out. This is kind of how it works. We figure something new out every time.
that's life.
Yep.
Thanks for watching. $1,000,000fist.com.
Yep.
Yeah, I still got nothing.
Royal River heat pumps.
There you go.
The other podcast.
They love
Ah,
it.
wrong. This already is.
The other
Our awkward
podcast.
ending because
Out.
Andre can never find the button.
The other bye.